Hi, my name is Julie Michelle Clarke, and I am a student enrolled in CGS 2100 Section 1 Computers and Business course. My major is Global Business Management, and my UID is 62254218. Today, I will be looking back at statistics and analytics collected from the BizCafe simulation that my classmates and I have been doing over the course of this semester. So now, before I dive into analysis, I'm just going to give a brief background into the BizCafe that I was working on and what prior knowledge my teammates and I had in order to explain the decisions that we'd make in comparison to other BizCafe cafes. So I was working in the D Classe Cafe, and all my teammates are also business majors. That being said, we are all freshmen and we do not have that much experience in the business realm, so we were pretty new jumping into the simulation, and we did not have a lot of knowledge to rely on. That being said, that can explain why we spent a lot of money in the first week when we bought the best machine and the nicest furniture in order to go our whole motto of classy experience for the cheapest price. That can also help explain why we only had about 1,513 in cumulative revenue for the first week in comparison to Starbucks, which is one of the leading BizCafes in the simulation, who Starbucks started off with about $5,060. However, looking at this competitor sales line graph, we can see that all the companies had a slow but steady grow, which looked a bit linear, and then towards about the 5th week and the 13th week, it started having an exponential growth. And the reason for this, I believe, was we managed to receive feedback on the customers about how we would manage our cafes and what they liked about it, what they didn't. Because I remember one of the specific decisions periods, we got to choose how we would manage the reviews and questionnaires, and we would also have different business management decisions, such as if we'd invest in insurance, if we would choose to lie to our customers with strategic marketing in order to make our coffee seem better or eco-friendly even if it wasn't. And these decisions, they made a lot of companies either go up or down, but for the graph that I decided to show in this analysis, I decided to compare with companies that performed relatively really well in comparison to us. So that's my analysis for this graph. Moving on to revenue versus cups sold, this is a bar graph, and what I wanted to point out that I found really interesting about the graph was the fact that even though it's comparing different things, because in here it's comparing revenue, cumulative revenue and the weeks, this one's the revenue versus cups sold, it still has almost the same trend line, in which you can clearly see that between weeks 5 to 13 there's a clear increase rates that is higher than the linear rate that it was growing at in the beginning. So I found that really interesting with this graph, which means that it reflects the data once more is accurate. And looking here at week 12, we can see a huge jump between the cups sold and how much revenue was made, which was about like over 3K. And one of the reasons I think this happened was by then we were able to control the prices of our cups, and a lot of companies, especially what mine did, is we would lower the price of the small cups in order to motivate people to buy more of them, because if we can motivate them to spend more on the little ones, we would over time accumulate more money than if we were to make the price expensive to start off with. And now we're moving on to my last graph, which is net income versus revenue. So before this project, I believed that, along with my teammates, we believed that net income versus revenue, it was the same thing, just a different word to say or talk about money. But as the project progressed, we realized that it was two completely different things. For starters, income is how much money you actually have, and revenue is how much money is going into the system. And we learned, unfortunately, the hard way, that we would have more money coming in than how much money we would actually get to keep. So that's what here you can see the revenue, the income, it'd be going down while revenue would be going up. We'd have to do these things to spend. One thing that I think would have really changed the way that Déclassé Café ended up ranking would have been if there was a feature to show how much money each company was saving after all that they had spent. Because even though this is a simulation, I realized that this is not a simulation that actually reflects life, because in real life, the CEOs and the people leading the cafes, they would also have to have money to spend on their own living expenses apart from the rent and the taxes and the expenses of the people that they pay to work there. And I am a person who loves saving my money, so as the manager of Déclassé Café, the CEO, because I was in charge of most of the main decisions, I made sure to always have about $5,000 to $6,000 saved. And now I regret doing that, because I realized that since we were not involved in the simulation, we could have used that money to invest more and possibly buy better ingredients or pay more to our servers and our other managers to motivate them more, and just increase the ambience in the cafe. Because at the end of the day, we were not going to do anything with that money, because it was not actually reflective of what happens in real life. Because in real life, you have to take care of your house, you have to take care of your own food, your own clothing, and everything else in between. So yeah, and one last thing I want to add before I end this analysis is that even though Déclassé Café may not have ranked as high as Java Jump, Caféville, or Starbucks, I still truly believe that Déclassé Café was one of the most successful companies, because even though we did not make that much money, we went out of the simulation with knowledge that we had not gained previously, and now we can use what we learned here in this time period to progress in our own business careers. Thank you for listening to my analysis, and have a good day.